Okay, good morning and welcome to Galaxy today. Of course, it's another beautiful day and it's November 7th. And today we're hoping to look at our banking system. I'm Uche Onyekoloji. A very big welcome to Galaxy today.
And I'm Justin Akademis. Glad to have you join us on the show this morning. Yes, we are focusing on the banks this morning, specifically the bank verification number. As you're all well aware, the expiry date for the registration, which was extended initially, was Friday, the 3rd of November. And a lot of reactions trailing this development, with some Nigerians abroad in the diaspora saying their monies would be forfeited to the federal government. That and more, we'll be looking at all the implications on the show this morning. Thanks for joining us again. In the course of the program, of course, we will relate with our studios in Ibadan, to just get their opinion on this issue. Yeah, Uche, have you done your BVN registration?
I have, of course, I have. I did that many years ago, and I made sure that every new account I open has to be synced with my BVN.
Yeah, that's the thing. Speaking of many accounts, I don't know. It's it's like usual practice for Nigerians to have several bank accounts. Why do you think that is necessary?
Of course, for some people it could be for business reasons. Some people for savings reasons. Like for me, what I use for savings is different from what I use to run whatever thing I need to run. So it's only good that you have a reason for it. I mean, your salary account is different from that which you use for savings. And I do know that a whole lot of people too do what they call couples having joint accounts and the rest. Yes. But I think to a large extent, each time you open an account and you have a single number or single digits that sync this account, in a way it makes it easy for you to bank.
And of course, a lot of benefits are derivable from the BVN to curb a lot of crime, financial crimes that go under the
yes.
unnoticed.
Exactly,
so basically, those are some of the reasons why the CBN was really very particular about the BVN. All right, before we get ahead of ourselves, we have a guest with us in the studio.
Oh yes, we have associate commentator and the person of Akim Malaulu. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Galaxy today. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much.
You're talking about BVN. I mean, a whole lot of people have this misconception about it. Some people think, most people basically look more into the stress and not the benefits of BVN. So let's start with what exactly are the advantages of BVN?
Candidly, when the policy was, when it came up, it came up through Know Your Customer policy. For banks.
KYC, yeah.
KYC, to know your customers. But candidly, it was actually to be able to checkmate money laundering, terrorism, kind of money going to different areas, so that we can actually know and trace the purposes for which these monies were meant for and were used for. And in our own situation in Nigeria, it became very important not only to support BVN, but to also to be able to know the salary payrolls, pension payrolls, all sorts of activities that man and bank must relate together. And in that wise, when it was introduced, it was quite easy. I have my BVN number in all of my 3 accounts. The only account which I refused to submit my BVN number for was because I see it was duplicated. I open an account at Bode Thomas, working, then I noticed that at Allen Avenue, that same account was existing, so I had to close up. So they asked for BVN, I refused to give it to them. So those are some of the disadvantages which became an advantage because of the existence of BVN. Okay. Then banks too, they collaborated with so many looters to compromise this BVN we are talking about. Granted that those in diaspora may have some challenges coming up, but they equally have Nigerian unions. They can partner with amongst themselves, go through the embassies, send their names and account numbers through secret channels to either the central bank or to the authorities that can look into their problems. But for us to stop BVN completely just because of diaspora or because of those who could not go in, I think I will not support that.
Yeah, but let's still talk about those in the diaspora. That's one of the major issues many people have pointed out. You talked about them going to the embassies and all of that to do with registration, but I know part of the registration entails, thumbprinting and biometrics and all that. How would they just go through all of that, really?
We are in the computer age. Anything can be done.
Okay.
But that they must come to Nigeria, I will not support that.
Okay.
It is the duty of government to create a circle in a manner that they will have confidence, and that confidence will still be retained, that they could send money home, they could send savings home, and in particular, the people in diaspora, Nigerians in diaspora, they all have communities. They belong to one association or the other. And we have diplomatic presence in virtually all parts of the world. The banks, CBN, can collaborate with the foreign, our own mission homes, and by extension, know the population of those who have accounts, and this thing can be sorted out.
We're talking about interim forfeiture now to the federal government. A whole lot of people have said that it is illegal, considering the fact that for instance, I want to open an bank, or maybe I opened an account to the bank some years ago, and then BVN was not, and it was not part of my account opening, information and requirements. Why over time now, you now tell me that because I didn't, for one reason or the other, have not been able to, do my BVN registration, I should forfeit my money to the federal government?
It's unfortunate, but we all believe that dynamism, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
Things must move further towards perfection. And that is exactly what gave rise to something that was not done before, now being done today, that is BVN. But like I have told you, like a civil servant seen recently with 200 bank accounts. 200 bank accounts, and that civil servant happens to be on a payroll department. So you could see the element of ghost accounts. Now since you have 200 just from one person in Abuja, now look at all the 36 states of the Federation and trying to compute how many of the payroll staffs have ghost accounts, which monies are transferred to local government, to states, then to federal. You can see that we are challenged, and we must not kill a concept because of diaspora alone. We should look at how we can sustain the system, as well as assuage their nerves.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, I'd like to read something here. He said that there's a senior lecturer in development economics at the Lagos Business School by the name Dr. Bongo Adi said, if we consider it from a moral point of view, there is something we call in economics error of targeting. There is a type 1 error and there is the type 2 error. I'd like us to look at that, saying that the type 1 error is that you are likely to miss those whom you target, and let's say they are looking to stem corruption or financial irregularities, but there is a likelihood that they may not get those they are looking for.
That is his own opinion. It remains his own conjecture. Why? Because they have not failed so far. With the bank ruling that all the BVN-less accounts should suffer temporary forfeiture of their monies.
Temporary?
Temporary. What that translates to, very easy, is that they have to make those accounts public with the identities of the owners first. All banks must comply within 14 days. That was the ruling of the court. You have to comply, make the identities known, let us know the transactions that took place in all of those, because there are some accounts with close to about 30 billion. You can imagine the late mother of a former first lady has in her accounts 2 point something billion. You can imagine the $150 million transferred to different banks by a former oil minister. You can imagine a former first lady having access to 35 million, which she spread into four different corporate organizations who has banking activities with some banks, and before she can have that access to have signature changed to her favor, there has to be a board resolution. None was done. So you can see how we compromise the banking system with the assistance of those who are supposed to do the right thing, and they fail to do so in the banking sector. So if the bankers are really ready to follow the guidelines and the rules, we don't have to be afraid. Majority of the chief CEOs of those banks were sacked by the former governor of Central Bank, Sanusi. This particular Central Bank governor is still dilly-dallying.
So you're of the opinion that BVN, the move which they're going now is the right move, if we must curb corruption?
What I'm saying in essence is that there could be some little itches, but they cannot be erased. We have to now perfect as we are going. We have to perfect as we are going until we're able to stabilize the system. No more uproar. But I know, the diaspora Nigerians, they bring in close to about $21 billion yearly. It's such an huge amount. So the government will always show concern to that particular group. That's why I said the unions, all Nigerians in diaspora have associations.
Okay.
We have diplomatic presence in all of those countries. They can submit through interactions, names of their accounts, because some students abroad have close to about 20 accounts, which are not even in their names.
Wow.
All right, it's still Galaxy today. Just to let you know that this program is very interactive. You can be a part of the conversation by sending us some text messages on the numbers now scrolling on your screen, or interact with us via our various social media platforms on Facebook, on Twitter, of course, on Instagram. Our handles are scrolling right now on the screen. Well, we'll take a quick...
All right, so I'm still talking about BVN expiration. I like us to look at it from the legal perspective. I mean, according to a lawyer, he mentioned saying that there is no law saying that you cannot own an account or you cannot access your account without a BVN number, right? Like without a BVN, except for a tangible identity card or some form of identification. Now, would you say that with the move the federal government are taking, I mean, do you think is lawfully right to take such move, saying that a whole lot of Nigerians in diaspora might suffer a lot, or not even might, would suffer a lot in this? Let's look at the legal perspective to this.
Well, thank you. Of course, there is a legal angle to it. Whatever my colleague that you mentioned, I don't know who he is, has said what you just repeated. But even if there was a law, in my view, it would contradict, to contravene the provisions of the Constitution. Money is property. And so every citizen has a right to own property. And so if my funds are in the bank, it is my property. So for even if there was a law, that law, I say, will contravene that part of the Constitution. It's a fundamental right to own property. Now, having said that, I'm asking myself, why the hurry? What's the exigency? What's the urgency? What's the point in having to have citizens forfeit these funds to the federal government? It is not saying we do not understand what BVN means. All of that is taken, all right? And so we're asking already, citizens who have not linked their accounts with the BVN are not allowed to transact on the accounts, which means those funds are untouchable. They are locked up in the bank. I don't know if the vaults of the bank have become too heavy for the federal government, or the banks complain to the federal government. The vaults of the banks have become too heavy. Of course, we know that this money is virtual. It's not money stacked up, in heaps anywhere. It's virtual money in your account. So from a legal perspective, I've said it is totally wrong, but legally, as it were, but for you to say for no good reason, because I don't find any reason, as it were, good reason, as it were, for the forfeiture of the sums of whatever funds that are found in these accounts. They are monies that for very many reasons. The people have very many reasons why they may not have, linked their accounts up. And I'm saying we shouldn't be in a hurry. When did we start the BVN regime? When? What's the hurry about it? Of all the myriad of national issues we have, is that topmost? Is it an issue that really bothers us as a people, as to take attention so much to it? More so when these funds are going to be forfeited. Forfeited to who? Who is federal government? The governments that we have seen, past and present, that huge sums disappear into private coffers, that funds that belong to Nigerians will be forfeited and stolen again. I am saying the judge, my very personal opinion, should revisit that order.
Okay, but what could be done right
given
now?
That it was been given for 14 days.
Yes.
14 days.
So if you're thinking that the forfeiture is coming a little too soon, so what else? Because before now, what we have is a restriction that is placed on those accounts without registration of BVN. So should that go on for like perpetuity, or what do we do?
Well, I think that it may not go for perpetuity, but it should go for much longer. That's what I'm saying. If like I said, for very good reasons. I have had to articulate this from yesterday when I knew I was coming on this program and said, for instance, somebody's dead, and we know the process to obtain letters of administration. It's a very onerous process, and then the family is struggling with it, and they're not through, and they say the funds are forfeited given the date of the order. There are people who have accounts which, what do you call it, they have not used for some while, have gone, what's that term? If you don't use your account, dormant. And then it's the account. They have some funds there. For one reason or the other, they say, okay, I'll get back to do this thing. They have other accounts which have been linked up, maybe one or two accounts that have not. I mean, the people in the diaspora, like you've said, for good reason who have not, I'm saying, given that, of course, it doesn't have to be forever. The question we're asking is, what is the exigency? What is the urgency? Why do we have to move against those funds? Even if they were stolen funds, they are trapped already. They are in the accounts, they are PND. You can't post anything out of it. The BVN regime allows money to come into an account that has not been linked, but don't allow money to go out. So the money is already trapped. Let's use that term. So what is exigency? So we shouldn't be in a hurry to confiscate or make citizens lose their money. And this thing should have, even with time, I'm even thinking there should be conditionalities attached to any such order for future in the future, as to, well, if you're able to bring an affidavit to show good reason why you were not able to do it within time, your funds are released to you. But of course, if they will still be there, given what happens in our climate.